Hello and welcome to Midweek Gaming with Stubbs and Crew. This week we've got the regular panel. Welcome, Removable Sanity. How are you doing, and what you been up to?
It's again. I'm always surprised that you invite me on. I really got to get to the point where you're just going to get bored of my voice and tell me to bugger off at some point. I've just been, keeping abreast of all the gaming news, which we are probably going to talk about in this podcast.
I thought we were talking about tea, so
that as well. Being a Brit, we do love our tea.
Definitely. Welcome, Mr. Tushi, yet again. Thanks for your post trying to get some interest in the podcast. You seem to be very polarised on Twitter. You do.
Yeah, my phone didn't shut up all night. I couldn't keep up with the notifications. Every time I cleared them, another 10 appeared.
Sorry.
It just... I'm more of a coffee man myself anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of coffee. I don't like it. It smells horrible. You're
not supposed to smell it. You're supposed to drink it.
Well, I can't. If it don't smell nice, I'm not going to drink it.
The one thing I love is the smell of coffee. I love the coffee aisle.
But the smell of coffee can wake me up. It's that strong.
The best bit is having the coffee breath, because you can talk to people close up and you can see the face.
Twitch. Like, social distancing. Social distancing. Back off.
Definitely.
Welcome, VJ. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, Stubbs. Thanks for having me back on again. And it's nice to see Flap here, Mr. Sushi, Removable Sanity. And I haven't met CerebralPaul before, but it does look like Paddington Bear, doesn't he?
In a better way.
I'm just waiting for a marmalade sandwich to appear.
Welcome to one of our guests. Welcome, CerebralPaul. How are you? And thanks for coming on.
No problem. Glad to be here. Yeah, I've just been, gaming and playing around, watching a lot of TV, and I'm looking forward to the new games that are coming out. I got my pre-order in, so I'm looking forward to November.
Fantastic.
So let's go ahead and let's start talking games when we're ready.
Good to hear. And welcome, Flap from the Green Pass Gaming channel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I appreciate the invite on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a bit like VJ. I've been doing podcasts all week, it seems.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Stubbs, you never told me you were going to have one of my bosses on the show.
Oh, no, exactly. There's a super fan there's a super fan here. Right, just do some shout outs because there's already 13 people live in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. Who have we got? Welcome. No, I'm not falling it again. I was about to say welcome, Mr. Tushi.
Hello.
I keep doing that. Welcome, God's Geeks. Thanks for the new image for the podcast. It's very good. Because I wasn't expecting it. You dropped me a DM saying, "I know you never asked me or anything, but I've come up with these new images for your show if you want to use them. But if you don't, it's fine. But they look very good, so I'll be using them. Thanks for doing that. I truly appreciate that. I do." Welcome, Warwick. Welcome, UK Daz. Good to hear your good news that you can get back to work now.
Monday morning.
Great, yeah, but it's been off a long time. But yeah, take it slowly, Daz. So don't overdo it. Welcome, Shizno Elite. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, Fastback.
I didn't steal your intro.
Oh, that. Well, yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Welcome, ACS Husk. How are you? Any more? Welcome, Puxley. Thanks for stopping by, mate.
Warwick's in.
Yeah, I did say welcome, Warwick. I did.
He needs to come on again.
We have to. Yeah, the problem is now because your tweet. If people didn't know, for guests, we're actually about 4 to 5 weeks ahead, booked up because of your tweet. There's been too much interest.
You asked. You can't moan about getting getting what you wanted.
It's all good though. It's all good. So, there's been some controversy about CD Projekt Red's crunch. Now, I know VJ is chomping at the bit to talk about this, so I'll go with you first then, VJ.
Are you sure? I think there was someone else first.
To kick it off.
Now I'm gonna finish eating and drinking. You know, you'll be done in about an hour or so, and then we'll chime in.
Have a kip.
You sure you want me to go first, Stubbs?
Yeah, far away.
Yeah,
so
you're all right.
Yeah.
I watched the Yongye take on CDPR Crunch, and I've got a lot of respect for the guy. I think he's very well informed and really breaks down topics and so on and so forth.
There's a butt coming.
What?
There's a butt coming.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. See, you could say that the project is any project in itself that gets delayed and goes through crunch. You can say, oh, the project was poorly conceived and poorly planned, and the management and the production team aren't quite good enough, and so on and so forth, right? And we can see the knock-on effect it's having on Halo, right? They're having to delay it for another year and a half, right? But maybe they can afford to do so. But fundamentally, developing a video game is incredibly difficult. There's a multitude of facets, right, that need to be worked out before a game design can even come together in its roughest form and being able to physically convey your idea, right, to a publisher or if it's an internal team to your management, right, in order to get the green light. So, and there's also so many people involved with sort of varying skill sets, talents, mindsets, psyches, philosophies, and strong creative opinions, right, and personalities as well, which are all pulled and stretched and sort of tested to the limit during a long game development schedule, right? And we're not silly, right? We all know that a schedule for a game can be anything between 3 to 4 to 5 years, right? And I know, like, some games on the outset, like Red Dead is, I don't know how long that was, like 6 years in development, right? Someone eating. Every member of a team fundamentally grows, and I mean that in the broadest sense of the word, and in different ways. No one can truly predict, right, the trajectory of a single individual. If you're working at a AAA studio, then so taking that into consideration about an individual, then trying to run, I would say, a AAA studio with 200 or 300 people, and if you're creating something that is as ambitious as, say, The Witcher, Final Fantasy, Red Dead 2, or The Last of Us, crunch is inevitable, right? It hasn't gone away in 30 years of game development, right? So it's there obviously for a reason, and that's what I wanted to get into if I can. I'm not an expert, but I'll try my best to convey how I see it and how I feel about it. So even teams as small as 30 people or 50 people working even on a B+ game and end up crunching, even though it was never the intention, principle or philosophy, I should say, to do so. CD Projekt Red is just a prominent target in right now, as I see it, right, in order to make headlines for media or YouTube channels and so on and so forth. And I understand that to a degree. I don't like it, but I understand and accept it to a degree. I know a little about CD Projekt Red. I don't know if a lot of you guys know. I spent over a year, I think, living in Poland, in Warsaw, right, in games to a different facet of video gaming, right. And the CD Projekt Red management are good guys, right? But putting CD Projekt Red aside, you have to realize that people in everyday life, just like common people like us, right, on this panel, say things to sort of one another that they really mean with good intentions and information that they have on hand, right? They make promises. We make promises to each other, right, on a human level with hand on heart, and we and all of us mean to keep that promise, but some other things stop us from doing so, right, on a daily basis. So imagine running a production team of 300 or 400 people, setting objectives and targets and delivery timeframes. Things will go awry, and promises not kept through no fault, I would say, of an individual or a segment of a section of a team. Sorry, that throwback segment. I was thinking about a Terry's milk chocolate orange for a second. Everyone sets an ETA, right? Production deadlines, but no one can foresee or accurately factor in a road accident. That's probably the best example that I can give you on the journey, and predict being stuck in traffic for 3 hours. But when that happens in game development, that can sometimes be 3 months, right? And traffic accidents happen in game development and cause unexpected delays. And if you don't believe me, just ask Mr. Tucci, right? He knows how treacherous and unforgiving the roads and motorways can be in England, right? But
Go on, carry on.
sorry, but in CD Projekt Red's case, they've assembled, I would say, the best possible orchestra, right, in terms of their team. But unless you have an outstanding conductor, or in this case, a set of conductors, and what I mean by that is the euphemism for producers running the studio, you're not going to achieve like a spectacular or perfect symphony on time out of that group of people that you've assembled. It all takes time, and it's a really hard journey, and especially since CD Projekt Red are trying to climb Mount Everest, right, in terms of their ambition for Cyberpunk 2070. That's the game, is it? Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, sorry. But they don't have unlimited resources and finance in any studio, in any company, right? And we've seen it, I think, with EA, Ubisoft, and so they will step in and say, this game needs to ship, right? Producers know that the pressure is on them, right, at the highest level of management, right, in that there has to hit the quality at the same time, or the company is going to suffer going forward. So what's really left that anyone can do is everyone has to pull together to make sure an anchor, right, before the ship sinks. But then you get like us lot, right? I'm not talking about us in specific, but in the general, right? What you get on Twitter and so on. You get armchair theorized viewpoints from gamers and media on Twitter and so on and so forth out there saying, delay the game for the sake of the people, having to work in such hard working conditions. It's too harsh for them, and but they don't really understand all the factors in play, right? They're, for me, outside the camp. Spitting in. The management team at CD Projekt Red that is spearheading the studio is creatively led. We know that, right, through the games that we've played, right? Then it's production led, right? But I agree with what Yong Ye was saying. Both facets are equally as important, right? But nobody's quite got of the formula right in terms of this making these kind of games that we want to play. If developers, and I don't know if it's true, because we always see, is it Jeff Schreier? Sorry, I forgot his name, right? And Jeff Grubb and some of these other guys, they always say, we have a source, we have insiders, and they are still harping on about crunch. But I would say to them, be grateful. And I've seen it firsthand, right? Because I've lived over there and so on. So be grateful you don't work in a Chinese factory where every Xbox or PlayStation or headset or Mickey Mouse T-shirt you wear or buy or interact with is touched by young men and women that are still, to this day, underage on occasion, even though there's laws and stuff like that there to mitigate that such things, right? Go meet the thousands of children.
Oh, no, it's terrible.
Go out. Yeah, absolutely. Go meet the thousands of children and pregnant women carrying rocks all day for mining pirates, right? How many of us would prefer to be developing a game versus being a nurse, a cleaner, a lorry driver? And talking to Mr. Sushi, he knows, right, how incredibly long hours or dangerous roads and motorways are, right? So how about a young sort of Afghan man, right, conscripted into being a soldier for a war he may not even believe in, right, just to feed his family? Yeah. Or how about an enslaved sex worker, right? So what about the student, Foxconn, who assembled your iPhone, right? And I think the guy proceeded to jump out of a window, right? And Apple and Foxconn were subsequently accused of violating local labor laws, right? And I think that was as recent as 2018, right? So anyway, my point is CD Projekt Red has nothing to be ashamed of or nor apologize for. If they are managing the welfare in this turbulent, unwanted situation, they are still finding their feet. I know they've been around for a while, but they're targeting to be a great company, if not one of the greatest companies out there, right? So of course they want to eliminate crunch, but as I said, it's going to take time. It is not as simple as that. They've got a lot of young guys there cutting their, and not just from Poland, from all the surrounding neighboring countries that have come out of communism and so on and so forth, cutting their teeth from possibly their first project. I've had friends work at Naughty Dog for several years, and they get an education similar to like law students almost, right? 93% of which I think experience significant stress due to just the sort of aspect of the amount of reading that's involved. CD Projekt Red and the producers that they have, I think, have a thankless job, and good ones are really hard to find. And this is why, even though we mock, is it Google Stadia, right? But they picked up Shannon Studstill and Jade Raymond, and I'm really interested to see what they do further down the line. But I don't want to digress off topic here. But as I said, they spin dozens of plates, and it's hard to manage. Yet we as consumers want the best possible game, but you want it made in a development or manufacturing utopia. But I've often found that everything good comes out of adversity and incredibly painstaking hard work. Anyway, next topic.
Well, can I just dive in there? I'd like to actually jump onto your point. The industry I work in, which probably few people don't know, is the construction industry. And it's very similar into terms of time, scale, money, in projects themselves. And VJ, you are correct in certain areas. The outliers or external forces that can damage a program, because you go in with the best of programs of all. You even go in regardless of if it's a small element or it's a large element you are designing. You always go in with, I don't know, some sort of like 15 or 20% overhead to try and accommodate any potential problems. You can never foresee everything. Anything from, I don't know, I've had teams where we've had a team of about 400 people designing something that's going to last for 3 years' time. And we had 6 people all got wiped out in one go because they caught the flu. That flu stopped the project dead for 3 weeks. Dead. We couldn't do anything about it. It was just an unfortunate event. We've had server issues. We're crashing. You've also got to think COVID's happened. This itself is a issue which is unprecedented, in our lifetime. So when people say, it's crunch, I think if you've got to look at other industries that are along the similar lines. We have crunch in the construction industry when it comes to designing buildings. Doesn't matter what you say, it happens, because it's exactly the same thing. The end time has to be hit, the deadline has to be hit, and regardless of whatever happens during that period, we still have to hit that deadline. Because if we don't hit that deadline, we as a company suffer. And if we as a company suffer, then the staff suffers. The people underneath us suffer. Everybody who then works for us suffers. It is a complete spider's web of people that are being picked up and managed by one particular element. So I think whilst we would ideally never want crunch, and ideally never to work hours longer than what we need, it is some case just going to happen. Reading CD Projekt's Red statement where they said, they looked at every possible way not for this to happen, tells me they've tried their hardest before they've said, look, we need to go down this path. The fact, and I don't think I've seen this in a few companies, where they said 10% of the profits will go to the staff. That is phenomenal. I don't think I've even in my industry would never do that. It's just accepted that you have to kind of, work late, get it done, I think it's one of these things where people forget that other industries do it and they accept it. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying it's part and parcel of the profession you walk into. And then we've also got to take on board forces outside of our control as well. No matter how good you plan, no matter how perfect you pick and point every single element and set it down to a deadline, something will always go wrong, which you cannot foresee. The way we should expect companies like CD Projekt Red and any company that expects staff to work crunch is how they manage the staff, how they treat the staff, how they manage the mental health issues of that staff. If they do that properly, if they are generally out to look after their staff and say, look, unfortunately, we have to go this path, can we really blame them? They're doing the best they can.
Right. They're trying to balance between crunch, get it done, and hey, another delay. And, they've already had one major delay, and that's good because they want the game to be correct. But they know that if they say, hey, we're going to delay it another 3 months, that's not going to look good. Yeah,
the problem is a Witcher. No, sorry, it's CD Projekt Red. I mean, if you look at how many times the last Witcher game was delayed, it was delayed a lot. And I still don't believe it's coming out in November. I think we're looking at next year. But I could be wrong, What's your view, Flap? Do you want to jump in as well?
Yeah, I kind of see VJ's point. I think we've all probably worked for businesses where they've asked us if we can, all hands to the pump. I mean, I manage quite a few people, and I've had to ask that of my staff as well, to be honest. And it's not so much the asking; it's the way that you do it and the respect that goes with it. And I think people like, Yong Ye and like VJ, I do have a respect for him, but people like Jim Sterling and people like that, they do like to just
sensationalize.
Perhaps sensationalists. I do like to leap on these sort of stories, and I can't help but feel that sometimes these are misrepresented. I think it was God's Geek in the chat that said, blimey, if a 6-day week is crunch, I've been on that for the last 10 years. And it's, and that's real life. That's real life.
Yeah.
If they're asking these people to put in 16-hour shifts a day, then for 6 days a week, then that's not fair. And, like VJ said, there's obviously mental health issues to consider and stuff. But, I think there's various degrees of crunch. And I think as soon as some of the gaming community hear the word crunch, they just automatically assume the worst case scenario. And I do agree with VJ. I think this is probably an acceptable crunch. They've delayed this game at least twice. They've got the deadline of getting it out before Christmas. I think crunch is inevitable. And basically, it's project management at the end of the day. And like you say, you don't know what's coming. You just have to project manage these things. And resourcing is just one of the problems.
Flap, I've got a question for you. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember clearly. Actually, the question's for everybody. Do you remember Red Dead Redemption 2? Now, that went through some serious crunch, but I don't recall it getting as much flack as the other studios, right? Especially CDPR. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm throwing it out there just to get anyone's opinion.
No, it didn't. It didn't get
Rockstar don't. They're like, I'm not being nasty. They got like, because it's Rockstar get the pass. It's like one of these companies that will just get the pass.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you say that, but you'd have thought Naughty Dog would have automatically got a pass, and they didn't. I mean, they've been called up.
No, you're right. It depends what issues you hit, though, doesn't it?
I think it depends on the management style and what crunch actually looks like within that small business unit.
I feel a lot of it, though, is the way people backlash is, I'm not being nasty. We're in the year 2020, and a lot of the youths and a lot of the people that go on social media, some of them, not everyone, they're part of this entitled generation where they think everything should be a certain way.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
That's it. We've lost all the viewers.
But no, it's just crunch happens. It's one of them things. Crunch won't last forever. I don't know what it's like to be in a crunch situation. I've never had a job where you've got to do this overtime, otherwise we're going to... Because I think a lot of companies, like even in normal workplace, say you're in a factory, I think some companies, especially what's going on in the world, are in situations where if the staff don't do overtime to get a job out, they could potentially go under. You know what I mean? So in that situation, you can't blame them. Things like that.
But if you were in that situation, Stubbs, would you go at them with a stick or would you dangle the carrot?
Dangle the carrot.
Exactly, and that's
exactly.
I think that's the difference between certain studios, from what I've heard.
Exactly.
I think, even though they're going to crunch, these guys that are crunching for, CD Projekt Red, when it's all said and done and they get the game out and it's amazing, they're going to look back and go, hey, I did that. All that time was worth it. All that not rest was worth it.
Plus, they get 10% of the profits as well.
Yeah.
It looks great on the CV, and I mean, CD Projekt Red, this new Cyberpunk game, this will sell absolute. Numbers will be crazy for this game. They will make billions upon billions out of this game.
That's the point,
and as I said, 10% of that is going to their staff,
which is great. 10%. In the end,
10%. How many? I mean, I'm probably being a real thickie here. How many public developers have said that's what they're going to do?
Not as far.
10% of all profits are going to our staff.
A lot of them try and screw their stuff out of deals like that. I've heard a lot of bad things about Gearbox, Borderlands developers. I've heard a lot of bad stuff about them, but I don't know if it's true. But who knows?
I think crunch is. Some people call it crunch. I just call it overpaid overtime. It's. I think, as you're right, if you're used, if you're going into a profession that this happens, and to be honest with you, if you are going into a profession, you research it and what's going to happen. Very few people don't go into a profession blindly. There's going to be requests for you to possibly stay a bit late now and then. The company I work for is like, yes, we want you to stay late. We want you to do 15 hours this year, today. But at the same time, they'll say, But if you ever need time off, whenever you feel like it, we're never going to quibble. It's that give and take between management and staff. And as long as the staff's being treated well, treated fairly, and their health and their mental health is maintained well, and the staff themselves, agree with it, then who are we to say what's wrong? It's if you see, we don't know, right? It's always one of these individual sources. How do you know it's just one guy who's really got it out for CD Projekt Red and who's been a slacker since he's been there? And they've kicked him out, and he's now saying something bad about them. We've all had people where there's that one person who just doesn't do bugger all, and it pushes more pressure on all the other team. So they get rid of him, and he has it out. And he has it out for that company. Hey, don't you dare point your finger. Keep your fingers away from Tushi. Tushi works hard. So I mean, yes, these. I think we have to obviously be careful with the sources that we take on board, and if these companies are taking advantage of staff, then they should be called out with 100%. Any company that starts taking the mickey out of staff should be called out. But at the same time, we should also look into it and go, I know it's hard to verify sources, but there is a little bit of, it was the way I think I had sort of Shaw Schreier's article kind of got me. It's like the title's like, they downright lied. Really? They downright lied for a particular reason? Why? They said we didn't want to do Mandatory Crunch, and it's like, so you're saying now they've actually had to do Mandatory Crunch? That's a lie. Where even in his statement, even in his article, he states they looked at all other alternatives possible before coming to this decision. Well, then they didn't lie, did they?
Well, no, exactly.
They didn't lie if they.
That's the way it is now with journalists. A lot of them haven't got. They love the clicks, and that's what gets them paid. More clicks.
Don't get me started on that.
But that's another topic. I reckon one day we're going to have to do a podcast just to talk about that alone. We're going to have to, because it comes up a lot now. But there's a few more people came in. I'll give them a shout out. Welcome, Dragon Wolf. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, Lady AF. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, Matt Barnes. Thanks for stopping by. And I think I've got everyone there. I'm going to switch topics now. Did you have anything else to add, Mr. Tushi, to that?
Yeah, just a little. I've worked in trades where you have crunch all the time.
Sorry, wait a minute. DreadPaul, welcome, mate. Sorry, I missed you there.
Hey.
DreadPaul.
Battletoads! I haven't played yet. Is that a bit better?
That was brilliant.
Yes, that was wonderful. That was great. Yeah.
You have to record that.
Tushi, go on, you were saying?
Yeah.
Like, for example, now I work minimum 12 hours a day and up to 15 for 2 days a week legally. And that's just a standard week for me. I've worked in trades where they call compulsory overtime every day. They call you in at weekends. It depends on the business. Like, I worked in the auto trade. I used to do robotic engineering. And if the production line, if we stop the production line, it used to cost £6,000 a minute for it to be down. So if there's any, this was delivering doors to Toyota Jaguar for the Jag F type. And so if the production ever goes down or anything, you always need that stock ahead of yourself. And if there's anything get low, they could pull compulsory regardless. You had to stay.
So was that written into your contract when you started? Yeah.
Yeah, we knew. Yeah, you knew before. Even if you had like a dentist appointment, that sometimes they even got around cancelling stuff to make you stay.
Wow. Okay.
It happened a few times. But like for example, on budgets and stuff, this place where I'm going tomorrow, nuclear plant in Somerset. I don't know what their total budget was. I don't know how many billions of pounds was to build a nuclear plant, but they reached their whole budget in the first year, and they've still got another 10. It's finishing production in 2030.
Yeah, it's like that big rail network they're gonna build to France. It's in the trillions and they've still not finished.
Mhm.
But they're in too deep now. They can't cancel it because they've gone too far. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it
So,
also
yeah.
hasn't helped the fact that materials themselves and costs and like that have also gone up due to certain factors outside of our control.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's had an impact onto the actual project itself.
definitely. Sorry, carry on, Tushy.
No, that's it really. All they've done, they've had to obviously get like 10 times the budget basically, and they've because the site's about 6.6 miles radius. It's massive.
Wow.
It takes about 18 minutes to drive from one side to the other.
Wow.
And
I bet the little mini golf carts are there. The staff just pull around the building because it's that big.
they've got their own. It's like there's buses go around.
Oh, okay.
To transfer them all around and stuff. Yeah, because they up their staff from 3,000 to I think it's 6,500
Wow.
early this year in January, I think it was. But then obviously they've had to lay loads of people off because of the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So let's put them back even more.
Oh, that's not good. So
Anyway, next topic.
yep. Welcome, Indie Gamer. Thanks for stopping by, mate. I hope you're doing okay. So, have you probably all heard? I mean, this is news, but it's not news. Xbox Series X internal SSD only has 802 gigabyte of usable space. It uses 200 gig for the OS, I believe. Now, I don't think it'd be a big topic. But let's start with Flap this time.
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see how much space the OS is going to be taking up. We kind of had a discussion on DMs, actually. I think part of it's possibly reserved for quick resume, where it kind of dumps some of that information onto a sort of a partition of the drive, as it were. But Mr. Tucci came up with a really interesting point because, you know, if it's 200 gigs worth, then what's going to happen with the Series S? Because that's only got 500 to start off with.
Goodness, no, that is a bloody good point, Tucci. I mean, it would be worth buying.
Well, the only thing I can think is that with the Series S, assuming I'm correct and that they have put a partition aside for quick resume, that perhaps you can just quick resume less games on the Series S and it's a much smaller partition. I don't know. But I thought it was an interesting point. Now, it's quite good to see Jeff Grubb do some data testing and speeds on moving stuff around between the internal SSD to an external SSD, either USB 3. He even did one today. There was an update to his channel. He did one on an NVMe drive to an external NVMe drive. And it came out roughly the same as the USB 3. And it looks like USB 3 is the bottleneck with regards to that. So, it's going to be an interesting one because, you know, if you're going to buy a Series S plus a 1 terabyte drive for at least £200, you might as well just buy an X.
Yeah, that is a very bloody good point. You might just, if it's going to do that on the Series S, and you got to buy 1 terabyte it's a bloody good point.
Well, on the original Xbox, on the original Xbox One, it only had a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and you only had 340 something of usable space.
That's right.
It was small.
But that was before the days we had Call of Duty taking
Call of Duty needs a short hard drive. Call of Duty needs a short hard drive. That's all that is.
I'm thinking the other strategy is that game sizes will get smaller with smart delivery and stuff, and particularly if they implement this machine learning to up-res, low-res textures for all of the LODs and stuff. So obviously, traditionally,
that's another thing. Isn't the S actually having less? It's not having as much data, so it's not supposed to be picking up 4K, graphical data. It's supposed to be picking up 1080p and maybe 1440p, which should be less in data, isn't it? Am I getting it right?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Right, yeah.
it should be less anyway. But also with game design, I mean, mechanical hard drives are incredibly lazy. They when they want to write some data, they will just write it in the next space that is available to them. So when they need to go and find the data, they have to go all over the place to go and find it. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember defragging your hard drives in Windows.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I do, yes.
That doesn't tend to happen anymore, and I don't quite understand why it doesn't with mechanical drives. But what they do, because of that, because of the read-write speeds of mechanical drives, if you had an asset that repeats, and let's say it was a tree or something in Red Dead Redemption 2, rather than just having that one tree that they have to go and find every time they want to put that tree into the map, they will put that tree, multiple times on the drive all over the place, just so that the hard drive can quickly go to it and read the next available asset. But that doesn't happen with SSDs. So straight away, there's quite a large saving there. And like Removable Sanity said, we're not going to be getting the 4K textures. And if anything, we're going to be getting, sub 1080p, 720p textures, because with machine learning, they can upscale it. Like
upscale it. Yeah.
I still think even without the 4K textures, you're still going to have the quote enhanced stuff that I have on the X, which takes up a lot of space.
Yeah. So I think game sizes will be smaller, but it will be
over time. I think initially not so much, but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think when, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if any of you got Division 2, but when Division 2 launched, I'm sure it was 90 gigabyte in file size, and now it's about 50. They compressed it.
Yeah, they did some serious management cleanup with the I can't think of the word, with the stuff they use on the. They did some serious cleanup, which is nice, unlike Call of Duty that just keeps blowing up, I
mean, it's a good machine. Let's face it. For 250 quid, you get a next generation machine that upscales. That as I'm sure, or I think I heard it on a different podcast, that most PC gamers are playing at 1440p anyway. On a monitor, so you're almost competing with a PC in terms of the visual fidelity, and you're getting it for a price that's exceptionally cheap.
Right, and if you need more storage space, you're going to do what I'm going to do with my Series X anyway, which is just use the external hard drive that I have. Yes,
exactly. Same here.
Yep.
Yeah, after seeing that price, I was like, "Ew."
When it between 7 and 15 minutes to transfer like 70 gig or something anyway. So it's not a long wait, is it really, if you want to play a game?
Yeah. So you can leave the old games on the old drive and play off of that. And the new games, you can shuffle them back and forth as needed.
Mm-hmm.
But CS Scripts just put in there that DLSS is an upscaling's come a long way, and he's completely right. Like I say, with this machine learning that they've managed to hard code into the GPU now, or onto the SoC, things like DLSS. I mean, it's not actual DLSS because I think that's an NVIDIA thing, but the equivalent of that to up-res, very low-res images. That's going to save a huge amount of space.
Oh, most definitely. So I had to pop out there for a second. But by the looks of it, nobody noticed.
Yeah. You went for a Chinese, didn't you?
Yeah. Welcome, Crazy Greek Dude. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, C Script. What else have I? Welcome, Infinite. Thanks for stopping by. Have you got an opinion on this, VJ, at all?
My understanding is that SSD costs are not cheap right now, even in huge batches of millions that these guys buy.
Hell no.
I think that the memory card sales, I think Xbox were wise, right, to rope in Seagate, or fans, I think, would be looking at Xbox to subsidize the cost, or worse, look upon Xbox as milking the living daylights out of gamers, which would not have been technically true, right? But who's going to believe them, right? So Xbox were smart, I think, to avoid a potential PR issue where they would have actually had to sort of like duel and parry a whole load of ill-informed clickbait media reports, right? Offense, I think we can also understand that why the S series only has like 512 gigabytes. Is it only 512 SSD in the Series S? Because it's just extremely expensive. And I don't know. Are we all going to have to buy a memory card at some point, right, for the Series X and especially the S, right? I wouldn't be totally fooled by Xbox because they will take their customary royalty rate to the tune of 8%, which they do on accessories, sometimes even more off of retail price, and that's about $18 per unit. Seagate are obviously going to sell a lot of these over the next several years, and prices will hopefully come down. So obviously they'll start off by making a healthier margin, right, before we ever see a reduction in cost, right? For me, I don't know. I spoke to Mr. Tucci about this, and hopefully he's going to do a video, right? And I saw someone sort of talk about it, but it was a bit far too technical for me because it's just about how to, use a cheaper, slower, maybe SSD drive and store your games on that, and how to switch them in and out while playing the games you want to. Because I don't personally try to play 10 games a week, right? So if there's like 3 or 4, maybe that's the maximum because I really want to try the next gen quick resume feature, right? I think that's just exceptional. That's really pushing me to go digital. But I think that if someone can, definitely when these machines come out, is put out a helpful video how to do this, just for a dummies guide, just specifically for me, I'd really, really appreciate it. But in terms of like games in the future, I think that Gears of War? I was watching Moore's Law, and he was saying that Gears of War 5 is it, or the latest one? That's like a 130 gigabyte install, and I know obviously everybody knows that Call of Duty is a consistent offender, right? And it's always a big file size. But
really, 130?
Yeah, someone said that. That's what I heard. Yeah, on this thing, and.
I got on my console. I never realised.
Don't trust rumors. Don't trust rumors, man.
No. I mean,
I know Gears of War 4 was. But I didn't know they were up to that yet.
Someone can check it while I'm having a look. But when I first saw the memory card for the Xbox, I thought, oh my goodness, are we going back to the days of the PlayStation 1 and 2 memory cards, right? But I did really, really enjoy the VMUs for the Dreamcast. I couldn't get enough of those. I thought they were fantastic. And I don't know about next-gen games, how quickly these SSDs stream in textures and whether they'll be compressed or not. I just think it's just going to come down to the ambition of the game, right? And that may have a bearing. I don't know, but I can see like Final Fantasy, Red Dead 3 and all these games just like going ballistic, right? Forcing us into buying more memory cards at some point.
VJ,
yeah.
She's now leaked. You said that Gears 5 is 65 gig on his Xbox One X. So I think he was talking about Gears of War 4. He was.
I don't know which one. It was one of the Gears of War.
Yes, Gears of War 4 is seriously big.
Yeah. Hang on. On mine, Gears 5 is 127 gigabyte.
Oh, holy cow. Oh,
maybe Shizno. Maybe Shizno. You've not updated Gears in a while.
No, because Moore's Law, he's really technically spot on. I can't understand that. Well, probably 78% of what he says, but I think I can understand the numbers he pronounces. So he did say 130 gig for Gears of War 5.
Oh, okay.
When you're on the your games, press the cheeseburger button, and it can go to manage gaming. Get to manage gaming. It'll tell you that 127.1 gigabyte.
Can I swap that for a donut?
Yeah.
The question here's a question for everybody. Everyone seems to be raving about the quick resume, and I think I posted on Twitter. It's like, we know between 5 games it's amazing, yet no one's mentioning it between your other applications. So I think, as I said, I don't really. When I play a game, I play it till I go and finish, get off the actual game. I generally, if I am going to switch, it's going to be from a game to, in my case, Crunchyroll or YouTube or Twitch. Oh. Will that do a similar sort of thing? Because those actual apps, I do flick a lot. I'm one of these guys who flicks. So I am, but generally with the applications, not with games.
Honestly, yes, it will. Go on. Sorry.
I didn't think it would cache. If you're live streaming, then I'm not sure it would cache a live stream. So it will certainly flick a lot quicker, just because of the brute force of the system. To be honest, I mean, it's so fast, and particularly with the SSD. But if you mean, will it quick resume the content you were last watching? I don't know. Do you think it will, Mr. Touche?
I think it'll obviously load the app quicker. Maybe it'll come back to a pause screen or something. Because obviously, YouTube,
you're halfway through a video, stop it, move to something else, maybe a media player, that then resumes. I'm assuming that's the case. But as you said, a live stream, I wouldn't expect that to be done there. But if you jump back into a live stream, it stops itself, doesn't it? And then you can continue to watch the live stream. Well, it's not a live stream; it's now live stream's moved on, but you're watching where you kind of got off.
When YouTube does that, it hasn't cached what you've seen. It just remembers where you've seen, and then it kind of picks up, where it was online, as it were. But it's an interesting point because, I'm so looking forward to having these snappy menus. Because when I first got my X, it was the one thing that I really noticed. It was really snappy. You click left on the bump pad, it would go left instantly, and then that slowed down over time. So I'm hoping the X and Series X, and I'm sure it will be, lightning fast.
The new eye at the moment is really quick. I must admit, it does feel a hell of a lot quicker. Are you in the actual what's it called? The actual Alpha Ring, whatever it is.
Yeah, the Insider Hub. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually compared to what it was. That seems a lot quicker. We're definitely on the storefront, but yes, you're right. The general front end seems still a little bit slow.
Just a quick update on Gears. If you actually go into the My Games and Apps, it comes up at 63.7 gigabyte on the Xbox One X. If you press the cheeseburger button and go to Manage Game and Add-ons, it comes up as 127.1.
That seems more like it, because when you download it, it's that sort of size.
It's probably like I said, because it's enhanced for the X. So I remember when they first did that, it sent me a big gigantic file for the enhanced part.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. It's probably your base game on your Xbox One is probably, as you said, 60, but your base game or your game with your enhancements on the Xbox One X, as you said, 4K textures. We all know if you've ever done any video editing on a 4K, just trebles your data.
Yeah, because I wish there was a way to turn off the enhanced is nice, but I don't want it because I need the space. It'd be nice to be able to toggle that off.
Speaking of space, I currently have 13 terabyte on my Xbox One X, but I thought maybe I can upgrade one of my HDDs to an external SSD for a bit more quick speeds and stuff, and I can use it for my old games for next gen. I looked at a 4 terabyte SSD, and it was £800. So I thought, fuck that.
I've got a half a terabyte USB 3 SSD, and that was £85.
Jesus. I'll stick with my HDD for now. It makes them cards sound appealing though for £160 in UK.
Well, that's the thing. When you put it into those terms, I've got a Samsung T5, and I think a Samsung T7 is kind of an equivalent. And megabyte for megabyte, the external Samsung T7 is actually more expensive than the proprietary Xbox drive. Strangely enough,
I think it's priced for it's priced on par with the going prices of the Gen 4s, but
I agree.
I expected £100, but I took a loss on that. And it's £60 more, so I don't mind. It's still not too bad.
Well, it's not, is it?
It's expensive.
The actual SSD at the moment in the UK is £220.
I thought that was dollars.
No, well, it is in dollars as well, which is one of the things that kind of wound me up big, because when you do a US dollar to pound conversion, it should be around £170. And I was in a discussion with a few people of why that could be the case, and some people were saying, well, it's to do with the US tax, and it's like, well, nothing personal. US tax is only 10% in its worst case states. So if you look at 10% of 220, that still should be less than what we're paying. So for some reason, we are paying more, which kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
Thank yourself lucky you don't live in Europe.
Yeah. Oh, that's what's the thing. They're paying phenomenal amounts. I think someone showed me, was it Australian dollars, and they're around like 350.
Trousers
and you're
down.
Like, gee, yeah. I mean, I know I'm moaning, but they are looking at it. Well, actually, I think games in general for Australia is phenomenally expensive, isn't it? If I'm correct.
Who's worse off, Australia or Canada?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. Anyone in the chat can tell me this? Please tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know. I know that Australia it is phenomenally expensive because they're forever moaning, saying, why? I think was it like a $60 game is like almost $120 over there.
Oh, ouch!
Yeah, it is. It is stupidly expensive, and There must be some particular reason, but I don't know off my hand. I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
All I can say really regarding the cards for the Xbox is wait till the third-party ones come out. Because it said on the advert that they're going to accept more than just the Seagate ones.
Which would then breed competition in terms of price.
Yep, and the price will come right down.
Because I'm hoping Western Digital, because I use Western Digital a lot. I've had issues with Seagate in terms of HDD dying on me a few times. So I've stuck generally with Western Digital, and they're not 100%. They do seem to last around 5 years, 5 to 6 years. Some cases I've had people say to me they've lasted longer. But Seagate seem to, well, at least the ones I've had, they've just perished after about a year and a half. Stubbs is quiet.
Yeah.
He's gone for a poo.
It doesn't surprise me.
Sorry about that. Had a bit of an emergency there.
Ooh, that was a big one.
So what have I missed?
You went for a poo.
We're not doing all that again.
We was talking about prices of SSDs around the world, and then, what the price is in the UK versus the price in the US versus the price in Australia.
Ah, okay. Very expensive either way. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Z-Back Rider. Thanks for stopping by. That's it. Right, I think we'll probably move subjects now, shall we? I think we covered it quite well.
Yep.
Right, who's excited? I am for the rumours about
Calm down.
Titanfall 3.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh.
So much yes.
This is rumours, though, isn't it? Is this rumour?
Yeah,
or
no,
has it?
it's
Only
official.
rumours.
Yeah,
It's official,
so
isn't
you
it?
take it with a lump of salt.
No, it's rumour.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
if
disappointed now.
the rumours are true, I'm very happy because I think, I'm just speaking to myself, but I thought it was very much an underrated game. It really was an underrated game, and it got placed horribly. Its launch day was awful.
Right, I'm going to tell you why now, because Stubbs is big on this, right?
Ooh.
Titanfall 2 was placed on purpose to fail. Now, it wasn't Respawn's fault. The publisher was EA. EA crushed it because if your game fails, if you want to be acquired, it goes based off your recent game. And if a game fails, you're worth less to acquire. Now, I'm going to say allegedly with that, but that is my theory on it because it was crushed in between Call of Duty and Battlefield. So it looked like it was placed to fail on purpose.
So they could acquire Respawn at a price.
Cheaper fee.
But EA is such a forthright company.
I know. I could be wrong, allegedly. But that's my view on it because Titanfall 1 was obviously an Xbox exclusive, and that ran off the Microsoft Azure dedicated servers. And I believe with Titanfall 2, I think Microsoft actually offered EA the dedicated servers on the PlayStation to use just the same, and I think the offer was declined. But I can't be 100% on that, but I believe that's what happened. I do believe it's an IP that Microsoft was a different company at that point in time, different leadership, etc. But it is one IP and one studio that I do believe should have been, if you could go back in time with the leadership you got now, that should have been acquired by Xbox.
I think Titanfall would have been amazing if it was under Xbox's umbrella or Microsoft's umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the game, a tinfoil hat, but it's quite a good one. If you crush a game, you can buy the studio for cheaper money.
Yep.
EA's Battlefield was published by EA, and then so was that. So they knew what they were doing, but I can't prove anything. No, you're right. But what's everyone else's view on Titanfall 3? You're all excited for it? Because I definitely am.
All I got to say is giant robots. Okay, that's all I say to this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it. Giant robots.
Oh, mech, yeah, definitely mech.
Giant mechs, yeah.
Giant mechs, yeah, definitely. That's what we need. It's a good A good mech game, definitely.
VJ, you must be. Are you a mech fan, VJ?
Am I what?
A mech fan?
I'm only aware of the Vince Zampella. Is it? He's been a catalyst right, for a lot of the things that EA does well through the studio he founded and heads up, right, with another guy. I forget his name. There was another guy as well involved. Apologies, I forget his name. Which is of course Respawn Entertainment.
They used to own. Sorry, Vince Zampella used to run Infinity Ward Studios.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a massive court case between them
Yeah.
and Activision, because basically I think it was Modern Warfare 3, was highly acclaimed and successful, and I think Activision held back royalties owed to them. I'm going to say allegedly because Activision involved, but there was a big court case involved. I don't know who won, but it was quite bitter and nasty. It was.
Yeah, but I'm not a huge fan of Titanfall, but I am a fan of the other studio or the other team that Vince has got, which is the Star Wars team, right, which is headed up by Stig, because I really liked his work on God of War 3, and I asked Mr. Tucci recently if I should play Jedi Fallen Order, and he said, yeah, absolutely. But I'm
100%.
Yeah, I'm not.
1,000%. Yeah.
So, yes, it's fucking amazing.
Very good. It is
All
good.
I can say is if you do, get some fucking good headphones and them sound effects. Oh my God.
Yep. You know why Fallen Order it was so nice is EA kept their fingers out of it.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's why I think this is why I said that I think Vince is being able to, because of his success, because of where he sits, and I think he's on the EA board, he's able to shelter that studio as long as they keep producing. I'm not a fan of Star Wars. It never engaged my imagination, and I'm probably one of the very few on the planet. So I may or may not play it, but the thing for me, and I think CerebralPaul made a really good point there, because I think that Stig would definitely do a good job on Jedi Fallen 2. But when I was looking at the time frame he had to work with compared to how much time he had on God of War 3 to be able to create that game in a completely new engine, and I just don't think he had enough. Someone snoring. Develop the refined.
No, it's what you call if someone's vaping. It would be Mr. Tucci.
Sorry.
We're Darth Vader here.
And wherever. Proverbial. And I just don't think he had enough time to refine the combat system. And of course, I haven't played it, so everyone in the panel can have their say on it. But I just hope that the Jedi team is given more time. However, it is EA we're talking about, right? But the one strange thing that put me off Jedi Fallen Order, and it may come as a surprise, but when I was looking at the character model, it seemed okay and so on and so forth, but the character's head, it really put me off. It reminded me of a really young, goofy, teenage Hugh Laurie. I don't know if you're seeing that, but that's exactly But
I'm sure the actor who played that will be glad to hear that.
It looks exactly like him. And but to answer your question, I like the premise of Titanfall, the robots and everything, and so on and so forth. It really reminded me of that film, the robots in Avatar and stuff like that. But I actually got the PS4 version. I think it was Titanfall 2 last year sometime. I was playing it on my nephew's machine because he got it for free with PS Plus. And for me, I just found it awkward to play, and it may just be showing my age. But when I couldn't get on with it, it just ended up not being my cup of tea.
Oh, that's fair enough. Each to your own, you know.
Mm.
When I think of Titanfall, the first thing I thought about was
I'm gonna start vaping. Hold on.
Yeah, when I first seen that Titanfall 3 rumor thing, the first thing I thought about was Xbox Pope, because he's absolutely crazy on that franchise.
He does absolutely love that franchise.
He's made a Series X version too, hasn't he? Yes.
Yep. He was hoping for it as well. He wants it for himself, doesn't he?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I'd love it to come out because I think that the success. It's like, did anyone see Apex Legends actually coming? When it dropped? Did anyone see it coming at all?
Nope.
No.
Because I think they signed NDA. And then after it came out, there was streamers saying that they knew about it a year ahead. But I think they all signed NDA agreements saying that they wouldn't talk, and they didn't. Because some of these NDA agreements are quite strict, you know. Like
you really can't talk about anything. They even go into the point that any social media interaction, even internal, private DMs, They even go, even some of the message even state that any private DMs, if you're found, you're in proverbial shit.
Yeah, because I think there was one. I don't know if it was EA or Ubisoft. There was one streamer that thought he was. I don't know who it was. It was too big, and because he played it on the PC, they had his account. Well, they deleted his entire history, all his history on his account, and banned him. And they left him with an empty account, saying we've taken all the games off you, just for streaming it when he was told not to. But no, I do believe that Apex Legends, the success of it could be paying for Titanfall 3 development. All the microtransactions.
Well, it kind of was a halfway house. Let's face it, it's a halfway house between Titanfall. It's in the Titanfall universe. And they probably thought, well, let's just test the water, because Titanfall 2 didn't do massively well. It did get a bit of criticism, and it didn't get through, I think, the recognition it deserved. And so they're like, well, what do we do? And so I suspect, Apex Legends was the halfway house. If this did well and people were happy with it, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had to see Dragon's Wolf's comment. I know he's joking, but Sony's NDAs, he was stopping about PS5.
There's no NDA on the controller, though.
Apparently not. Yeah.
But that is a thing. It is a weird thing, isn't it? Why have we not heard anything? I mean, I want to find out more about the PS5. It is quiet as anything, isn't it?
He has got the PS5.
Why am I missing?
Who does?
Yes?
Travis Scott. He has got the PS5.
No, I don't totally believe that. All we've seen is a picture of the controller.
Yeah, you know what? I was looking for a video of him playing it or something. There's nothing online.
He could be right. He could just have a controller,
or just him, because he hasn't even come up and say, because he said he was going to play it all weekend and come up and say, hey, this box is hot, whatever,
He probably was
nothing. There's been nothing. I think it's all smoke. I really do. I'm glad this came up.
Which is worrying, though, because it's like, why aren't they saying anything? Why aren't they shouting it from the roof? Even if they just got themselves a like they did with Xbox, they just gave, instead of the actual machine, they just gave you the actual shell and casing. Why hasn't that been done?
Right.
There's nothing. And it's very weird. Is it something are they worried? Is it they're going to do one big, huge reveal and that just showcases off, and then everybody, there's going to be a full week of everyone just going, here, have a look at this? Because if that doesn't happen, you're going to get the console blind.
Yep. I said on my Twitter, and I believe it, that on November 12th or whatever it is, that the other shoe's going to drop. The foot's still going to be in it, and it's going to be on fire, where Sony is concerned, because there's too much if, and we don't have a lot of information this close to launch. That's scary, actually. Especially
was it 42 days or something?
Especially because they came out and said we may not be able to meet all the pre-orders. Wait, what?
Yeah, but
that could be a shipping thing, though. That doesn't have to be necessarily mean. That could be something to do with.
It could be, but I mean, when it wasn't a matter of Best Buy saying your order might be late, or Amazon saying your order might be late. This was Sony itself saying your order might be late.
Yeah,
that's true.
Xbox is going to. I do believe that. I mean, I think a lot of people will get the Xbox, but I don't. I think a lot of people might be disappointed.
Don't you dare say it.
If I ordered directly from Microsoft, if they send me an email saying my order's going to be late, I'm going to be hot.
Well, Amazon, I agree with you.
Amazon has already said, because of shipping and just logistics, your order might be late.
They're saying that to cover that. They're saying that Amazon are to cover their asses,
right?
Straight on Twitter. Where's my console? And that's Mr. Tucci. I got mine early. Look.
Yeah.
I wish.
I had my last. I got my One X. I won it from Taco Bell. I had it 10 days before launch when the One X came out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nice. I wasn't streaming back then, though, or I would have been showing off.
In the chat, God's Geek said, let me find it.
You are. Yeah.
Who gives a PS5 to Travis Scott and not to Digital Foundry? I think we all know why it hasn't gone to Digital Foundry. That's all I can say on that one.
I mean, what gets me?
You'll have to educate me, Mr. Tucci. I don't know the joke or the
Digital Foundry do an in-depth and they rip it apart and take exactly what you're getting and what it's capable of. That's what they're saying. They will find out the truth if they're lying about the specs and what it can really do. That they're like tech experts. They are.
Understood.
They do go into the very much of a detail. I think they even go through trailers. They go through the frame rate. They've got their own personal what's it called, investigative tools, which really kind of goes through and strips down everything, even to a pixel. Everything from frame rate to all the intricate aspects of that box. They will go through with a fine-tooth comb and tell you about it.
Do they be able to break down the hardware? Look, I'm not technically savvy, so really sorry for these stupid questions. Is it that they can break down the hardware even if they don't have games, or are people being sent next-gen games? For example,
currently, I watched a video today. They're slowly releasing videos because the NDA's dropped about the Series X. They're showing off the backwards compatible feature, and it's machine learning. What people don't understand and they're showing you the frames per second and how they're running and comparing them at the moment.
But
and some of them,
some of them are old games, right?
He did say we've got no new games to play.
Well,
so
hang on,
VJ, I would recommend you watch it because it does actually try and basically. They're using the back compatible to try and work out the hardware in terms of its power and its processing.
So they're not analyzing
they even admit that because of what they're seeing, they can't. They can only kind of guess because as you said, there's machine learning into it. There's I think there's one particular game they're saying we believe it hits perfectly 60 frames a second, but there could be a hell of a lot more power still left there. We don't really know. So they will caveat stuff when they don't know.
The biggest point they made was, though, the games that will do best for machine learning were the ones with the uncapped frame rates. So they were unlocked. They said that not all games will run well. To be fair, they were fair. They weren't like arse-kissing Xbox. They were, if there was a critique, they give you it, Yeah,
they do are pretty good, I must admit.
They've even turned off the HDR on some, haven't they? Because it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the part Tushi's been waiting for. My mother is now watching. Sorry.
Hey, Paul's mum.
There you go.
Hello, Paul.
We should all say hi. Hello. Flash, what do you think about that?
About Travis Scott, and I got to be honest, I must be out of touch with the world, but I've only just found out he's an American rapper. I didn't have a clue who he was. I didn't.
That's because we're old.
I thought it was Travis Scott from No More Heroes.
According to an article I saw today, he's being sued by a controller maker for his company, for copyright infringement or for trade. So, I found that earlier today when I was trying to see if there was any more information of him actually having a PS5.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's just all hype. I really do.
Flaps, do you think it's all hype?
I can't believe, VJ, you don't know Digital Foundry, my friend. You
I
absolutely need to put them on your radar.
I do know Digital Foundry. I do know them. It was just I was getting confused between analyzing software versus not having software and being able to break down what the hardware can actually do without software. So that's where I was getting.
They did one yesterday on Demon's Souls. So when they get the live VODs uploaded from Sony, they can stick them through their analyzer and you can get frame rates. You can see screen tearing, all of that sort of stuff. And then from that, they can extrapolate kind of what the hardware is doing. So that the Demon's Souls one's quite a good watch, actually. There is stuff coming, there was some trailers dropped today, wasn't there, for the Call of Duty Zombies? And one of those said, running on PS5 hardware and stuff.
Flat, what was your take on Demon's Souls? Just as a quick one, if you don't mind.
I never really played the original. When I had a PS3, I never played the original. And I've got to be honest, when I saw the graphics on the live show, I was thinking, that's all right. Yeah. But when I saw the upload afterwards, the 4K version, it's like, bloody hell, this looks fantastic. So I've got to be honest, I'd love to play that game. I mean, I've not got a pre-order for a PS5, but I'm guessing I will have at some point.
It's not 4K though, isn't it? Is it 1440?
That's what I've read. They're all saying it's actually 1440p. So what would it look like?
Point. They never actually mentioned the resolution.
There's different modes.
Yeah, they were doing the frame rates. It wasn't a solid 60. It did dip a little to sort of mid 50s on a couple of scenes and stuff.
If that's 1440p, what would 4K look like? That's a good picture. That is.
Is there a big? Like obviously people say there's a big difference between 30 and 60 frames per second, but not such a big jump between 60 and 120. I know it's all subjective. Is there a big jump? And obviously there's a big jump between 1080p and 4K, but is the jump as big from 1440p to 4K?
No.
There you go. That's a straightforward answer.
No, depends on the size of your screen.
I've got it's got a 55 LG C9 OLED, and I've got my PC plugged into it, and I can run I don't know, something like Forza Horizon 4 at 4K. I'm pulling in roughly 60 frames a second, but if I go down to 1440p, we're up into the 90s, if not a little bit more. And to be honest, I guess it depends on the game, to be fair, but when you've got a fairly fast-paced game like that, you don't really notice the difference that much. If it was probably a really beautiful, stunning game, a little bit like Red Dead Redemption 2, where you can just stop and look at the scenery, you probably would notice a difference, in all fairness. But I'm not convinced the 1440p thing is going to be a huge deal. I think the fans will run with it as their narrative because, like we said on my podcast a while ago, they like, we like to use numbers, and if one number's bigger than the other, then your team win, basically, that sort of thing.
True.
But I don't know if the 1440p thing is going to be quite as big a deal as it's going to be made out to be. But having said that, I would still rather my games run at 4K 60.
I think we all would, wouldn't we? Admittedly, the trouble is, though,
I'm still waiting.
How many people have got 4K TV or 4K monitor?
I think
I don't have a 4K monitor. I do have a 4K TV.
I think
I'm getting a 4K TV when my pre-order's ordered. The wife has told me I have to have one pre-ordered to get 4K TV.
Stubbs, I just want to make sure. Did we answer Puxley's question? He said, "Question. I didn't know. I just seen it just now. Question for the panel: does lack of 4K actually matter?"
To the majority of gamers, I mean, I would say that this is the thing that people don't get. The majority of gamers just play Fortnite, COD, FIFA, Madden. And a lot of them don't care about 4K whatever. A lot of people haven't got 4K yet, and they don't care. So I would say
that's why the Series S exists.
Exactly. I would say no. I would say to that, I don't think it matters really. To the large majority of people, it doesn't matter. People forget the hardcore is actually a tiny percentage of the real player base.
Exactly.
News coming in. What have you got through? I've Xbox bought Sega.
Don't get me started on
isn't
that
it? Capcom. That actually does bring up a good question. Do you think we will hear of another acquisition before launch?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably not Sega.
That's 5 years. VJ, we haven't heard what you've got to say.
Sorry?
Do you think there's another acquisition to come?
I don't know. I understand why I sort of understand why they announced the Bethesda games, right? But really, I think it goes back to what CerebralPaul was saying. Why are they so quiet and what they're not saying anything? And I really think that if you've got fantastic tough stuff to show, and they obviously have, I mean, with the initiative, with Senua Soul and all that sort of stuff, Saga, and all these other games that they haven't shown us, I think that Sony have just as much stuff as well. But I think it's got to coincide with when are they going to sort out the opposite factor, which is hardware availability. And if I know when I'm having a ton of hardware coming in, whether it's now February, March, whatever, I would coincide launching news when I've got a whole new batch of machines to sell, right? That
was my thinking, VJ. I was thinking that when the next pre-order allocations come in, they're going to drop some big shit in there. Yeah. So
my question,
more hype.
But Stubbs, my question to you is that they can't fulfill demand based on the shit that they've showed us already.
Exactly.
So why pile on more fuel to the fire when you can't?
That's never stopped Nintendo.
Well, yeah.
That's Nintendo is a whole new thing on itself, isn't it? I think they don't really care about whatever anyone else does. They're doing their own thing, and they don't care.
Yeah,
but they always build massive hype that they can't demand.
See, this is the thing. Like I said to VJ earlier. Now, Nintendo could come out now and announce a new Pokemon game or whatever on the date of the Series X launch, and they'd still sell millions upon millions just off one game. They're in their own lane now.
Yeah.
In fact, they might do that. I'm not saying they will.
No, I think there's a lot of strategies at play here, and I think Sony are quiet because if there's a storm going on outside, what do? You stay in shelter. And at the moment, I think that the ripple effect of everything that Microsoft are doing is still out there. So not worth like trying to fight fire with fire, right? Just be patient, be cautious, as Japanese companies typically are. And I think that they will find a spot, they will find a placement, and when they've got their hardware and when the information is out there, and as everybody's been alluding to here, I think we'll see more from them, as we will do from Microsoft.
Oh, that's the other thing. Microsoft, they made a big splash at the Tokyo Game Show last week.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a big deal. I mean, and then Korea sold out in, what they say, 40 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got my reservation.
There probably wasn't many consoles there anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into it if you really want me to, but
but still, that's a big deal. They stepped into Sony's backyard,
yeah, they did,
and said, "Here we come." Because it's not just the consoles; it's also the
xCloud.
The xCloud.
Go for it. And you've got me talking now.
And that's a big deal.
Is Xbox going to dominate?
I don't know that they'll dominate, but they'll have a bigger foothold than they do now.
I know. I thought I'd have to say it.
Is that a serious question, or?
It was a serious question.
I'll try and cover it from my side. Or does somebody else want to go first?
Crack on.
Okay. So I think unless we know numbers, right, for me, it's just more PR cow manure, right, and spin. So most people will just gobble it up without analyzing it, all right, and what it is that they're actually being asked to digest. So gullibility, stupidity, and acquiescing as individuals in the human race. What?
Don't make me fly over there and kick your butt, okay?
Yeah, no problem. I'm not come. See, I mean, I try to catch myself, and I do it sometimes, right? So it even gets the better of me. But and in the Xbox division in Japan, there's only about 10 people there right now, right? And act more of as a liaison office. So for a real gauge, right, they've got a huge amount of a big gap to make up, right? There's got currently, I think it's about 9.5 million PlayStation 4s in Japan versus 125,000 Xboxes, like less than 1%, 1.5% of the market, right, compared to Sony. So my guess is that Microsoft will, I think they've launched, right, the xCloud and so on and so forth in South Korea with SK Telecom. And I think that they will definitely analyze that situation. Then they'll make adjustments before rolling out in Japan. I mean, I think it'll probably be via Samsung and KDDI, which is a large Japanese 5G mobile telecommunications provider. And funnily enough, I think Samsung provide KDDI their 5G network solution in Japan as well. So there's like a nice, friendly trifecta relationship going on between Xbox, Samsung, and KDDI. And I think that this is why Phil mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, right, that they plan to roll out sometime in the first half of next year. But I think that's pretty prudent, right? As he needs to assess the situation so he can get Japan prepared, like with his best laid plans based on what's happening over in Korea. However, I think there's more to it as well, and I understand the sentiment that CerebralPaul has. Right, there are several important titles, in my opinion, that would be perfect to launch with Game Pass via xCloud in Japan. Dragon Quest XI, I'm a huge fan of, and that's done something like 70 million units, right? Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I know is also, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't always have my facts straight, there's so much going on. Yakuza Like a Dragon is also exclusive, right, for a time frame, right, for the Xbox Game Pass. And again, I'm a huge fan of that. It's another, I think that series done 12 or 15 million units. But those are just the two. I think you've got Nier Automata as well, arriving April 2nd. But the biggest one for me is the Final Fantasy VII Remake, right, which the exclusivity expires on April 10th. And that would be ready to launch in the first half of next year with Game Pass. And if Xbox have made that deal already, which I'm assuming they would have, then you've got EA Play and soccer outside of the US is huge in Japan, right, and in Europe, right. I'm not sure how well suited that game is to a mobile device, but FIFA actually it may well convert people that see it on the mobile, right, or via Game Pass on their phone, to then go ahead and purchase an XS or an X. I mean, I'm sure I'm anticipating there's going to be more, but you can start to see like what Xbox's strategy and the picture they're trying to prepare, right, for and ensuring Game Pass is free for 2 to 3 months by Samsung devices, which do outnumber the Apple devices in Japan, right? Not in terms of phones, but just overall devices. So, and I've said this before, that I think the conversion strategies and the conversion rate from the trial period from user to subscriber is critical. And on Xbox, I'm sure that they should have some sort of think tank in place, right, to be able to sort of deploy tactical PR and marketing plans, right, that appeal to the Japanese, notwithstanding obviously the lessons that they're going to learn from South Korea. Ultimately, if Xbox would be best served, right, to seduce, right, would be subscribers to relinquish another $10 a month, right? So not just that they're getting Game Pass, but so that they can also get the S, right, for a far more sort of refined and immersive gaming experience on the big screen at home, right, via the All Access initiative. But I know that in Germany that they're still trying to put partners together for that. And I'm sure that takes a little bit of time, and that may also be a reason why they've sort of got that window, right, for 6 months into next year. But I guess we'll see how it all pans out.
Yep. And you were talking about their plan. I mean, they even had a new anime mascot made up for their Tokyo Game Show appearance.
Yeah.
So they're thinking this out. They really are.
Yeah, I mean, this is another question. Would, like, say the attack on the Asian market, would their Game Pass / xCloud have a different variety of games because they're not into their shooters really? Would they make the Game Pass xCloud library different for that market?
If they've got the right games, I think I was talking with Flap about this on one of his shows, that it'll be just making sure that they curate the games in the right way, that the app is designed for that specific culture, rather than just forcing onto them exactly what they've done in the US. And that's why I think they're smart, not trying to roll it out in every single Asian country. Start with Korea, start in Seoul, see what works, what didn't work, what the analytics are, right, and then refine that before rolling out into Singapore and Japan and other territories and so on and so forth. So I think the curation of the content that appears on your screen is going to be pretty important. I know, is Tetris another one that's 6 times exclusive to Xbox?
Oh, that makes me laugh at this, but yeah, probably.
I love Tetris, but I love that game. So.
I wouldn't say the East aren't into their shooters, because China and South Korea.
Crossfire.
Yeah, 1 billion users. Crossfire.
Sorry, yeah, and Counter-Strike, yeah.
And to be honest, again, you think about Microsoft, they've been very kind of cunning around all of this, because, they've got Crossfire X coming to the Xbox platform, and that might not tick everyone's box, but if it ticks the box for South Korea, and particularly if you're able to, because the one thing they haven't dropped yet is Game Pass or cloud streaming on your PC.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
It's coming kind of Stadia-like, and perhaps there's some technical issues around that, but that would then mean that you don't necessarily need a top-flight PC to run these games, because you'd be able to stream them potentially. Now, I know a Twitch shooter like Crossfire, it probably isn't particularly well suited to that kind of thing, but I think the essence is there that, if you can get a game that will run on fairly basic spec machine, then it can be very popular. And I think that's the popularity of Crossfire, in the fact that you can run it on pretty much anything, to be honest.
I agree with you. Then Crossfire kind of killed some of their hype because of what they did. They showed you. Was it a last showcase? They showed you a second clip. They put at the bottom, Crossfire X is a separate game and will not be available in Game Pass.
That's the multiplayer.
That's the
single player.
That's the single player bit. Yeah. Which is made by
people didn't
Remedy,
like how they. Yeah, people didn't like how they did that, because they said, "Here's a showcase of all these Game Pass games," and then they hid that in the trailer. You've got to rewind it and press pause. It comes on that
I
quickly.
posted it, and I showed you. It was about a second where they just have this little one-liner. But actually, it does kind of kick in. Then does that mean the Orion architecture, which they've kind of bought from Bethesda, will play into this?
Oh yes, most
100%.
definitely. They've bought that for a reason. And I tell you what, a lot of YouTubers and channels ain't talking about the Orion. The Orion's a big part of this cloud gaming plan, and they've bought. I'm not being nasty to anyone, but they've bought this to stop Google and Amazon buying it, because I'm guarantee they were eyeing that tech up too.
Well, I'm surprised no one has asked NVIDIA in their GeForce Now. Well, no one's, or maybe there is deals with them, because that's one thing I've been saying since they pulled that out. I was like, if Microsoft partners with GeForce Now, when I played their online service, it was smooth as butter compared to xCloud. I must admit, I actually said I preferred the GeForce Now system versus the xCloud. xCloud's good, but it was nothing compared to the actual GeForce Nows. It was very smooth, very little lag, very few crashes, where at the time, and this was back in February and March, so obviously things have now progressed a little bit, but I'm surprised no one's picking, well, obviously NVIDIA is probably maybe fighting people off, or maybe there's a partnership we might see in the future. But yeah, definitely the Orion architecture. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know too much about it.
People ain't talking about it. It basically delivers 4K 60 streaming of games. They showed off Doom 2016 in E3 2019, and I don't understand why a lot of channels ain't talking about it, because it's quite a big deal. It is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's why they haven't released xCloud on PC yet, to be honest, because they kind of knew that this deal was brewing and that they were going to, use the Orion technology to deliver that.
I've got to give you it. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard rumours that this Bethesda deal between Microsoft has been going on for a couple of years, and I've heard other rumours that it was a real last-minute deal. I'm not quite sure which one it is, to be honest.
Well, big deals like that, they don't. It's not a last minute. You've got to. It takes a long time to negotiate. I would say I'd go with a rumour a couple of years. You know?
Remember, there is one thing that kind of worries me. The deal's not done yet until the middle of next year.
True.
It's not complete until the middle of next year. Yes, they've agreed in principle all the elements, but the final toothpick, the signature, as far as I'm aware of, is next year.
Yeah. I heard it was January, February next year, potentially, but I guess that depends on American litigation, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't the FCC have to investigate it as well and approve it? Is it the FCC? Someone has to approve it, because
somebody. I know at least one company's already throwing a fit, talking about they're getting a monopoly and blah blah blah. So.
I can't see how that's a monopoly. If they buy every company, then
this is America. They try to sue for everything. They try to slow everything up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, can I just say one more thing on?
Yes.
On Crossfire X. One thing we didn't spoke about is obviously they've got all them fans over there. People are huge on it. Microsoft is going to be bringing something to them that they've never had before, and that is a single-player campaign exclusive to Xbox.
Absolutely, and even the multiplayer is completely different as well.
Yeah, because they've only experienced the multiplayer over there, haven't they?
Yeah.
I know, Couch Geek. I know it's not a monopoly, but that's what somebody's trying to say to try to cause trouble.
Yeah, exactly. It's.
I find it interesting.
That's going around the internet, isn't it? Yeah, that was quite unusual.
That doesn't seem like it's their bag. Do you know what I mean? They sort of do the other stuff.
Maybe they're trying to branch out.
Do you know what I think it's going to be adding to Game Pass next? I think it's not an acquisition, but I think that they're going to go with Uplay, for Ubisoft.
Yeah, because it's not on console currently, is it? Or am I wrong?
No, it's PC only.
Yeah, I reckon that would be a good move, but who knows?
Uplay was, though, it just got removed.
Say again, sorry.
Uplay was on console.
Oh, I don't remember.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You play
Because I've still got the app on my actual. I've actually got it on my app. It's still there.
Rainbow Six Siege, and a lot of my Uplay games had Uplay stuff on console. Did they take
Because it's
that
actually
off?
really quite good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked it.
You would actually what you do is as you did stuff in the game, it gave you points, which those points then you could purchase specialized skins. So by playing the game, you actually got, I think it was like 20, like complete mission 1, 20 points, complete mission 2, 20 points, and I think then you'd get a specialized skin, I don't know, for about 60 points.
Yeah,
it was
and
actually really.
they had weekly challenges that you could complete and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh yeah, I've got that out because you can use it
You mean
on
the
Assassin's
store,
Creed
don't
and
you?
stuff. I mean the the Ubisoft all Ubisoft games in their service.
Oh, the service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I've got because what I mean is there was an email that went round from that manager from Game Pass. Then it said something is coming to Game Pass. It
redacted.
it got took out, but it wouldn't say a CD Projekt Red, for example, that is coming to Game Pass. It wouldn't. It's just something of a service. I think is coming to that. If you read that properly,
Didn't people were messing around with
No, they were.
the tone and saying
said,
they
"There you go."
spotted Slayer?
No.
Slayer is coming,
yeah,
and I was like,
but they already know. We already knew, didn't we?
Well, this was after the Bethesda deal. This other thing. This kind of they were messing around with the tones of the actual image. Now I don't know if this is just they're just tweaking and trolling, but I thought I saw something saying it was underneath the actual. It was above the actual kind regards aspect of the email, and it said Slayer was coming, which could mean anything, We don't know, is it? There sounds like there's something going on at Xbox. But
it's all good for me anyway.
Yeah, because I think you are right. There's going to be more stuff because what I think the plan is with Game Pass is they're going to get it to the point where it's that compelling that you don't want to cancel your subscription.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting it to the point where it's that good. I mean, it's already good value now, but I think they want to get to the point where it's that good that you just can't cancel it because you'd lose too much.
Microsoft has been saying this since the Xbox One days. They want to be your all-encompass box that picks up everything.
Oh yeah,
media, gaming. They want the whole thing in one package.
And this is
They've
where
been saying that for a while.
This is why I think Bethesda. I mean, although the deal doesn't go through to 2021, I believe that in the end, you could all probably tell me I'm wrong, but I think in the end, it will lead to Bethesda titles, bar the ones that have been made exclusive to PlayStation, if there is any, or timed. I think they will all be totally exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem and or Steam.
I 100% agree.
And that's pretty much what Phil has kind of hinted to.
You don't have to all agree, but
was it a title by title basis? He said
he did say it, but the way he worded it, if you listen to him, he then mentioned other consoles will be considered, and he said he kept emphasizing the Xbox ecosystem a lot. He never,
Well, either way, Microsoft is on a winner. Let's face it; they either do a exclusive, and they sell the actual hardware and the actual software regardless, or they do a timed exclusive. They still sell the game, or they just go and pass it out to every console, and they still make money. So this is a win-win situation, whatever they do. And as remember, they're not looking. They keep saying they're not in competition with Sony, so they may just be like, well, we're making money, and if we make more money, we can buy more acquisitions. If we buy more acquisitions.
Yeah, and I do believe that. I do believe the attitude right now, especially with Phil, is I don't care what Sony's doing. I really don't care what Sony's doing. Let's do our thing. And
Microsoft are a business, aren't they? They will maximize their money, as they see fit either way. If that means going to the Sony platform, then that's what they'll do. I don't think it will. I don't think they will make enough money it go into the Sony platform. I think they will make more money keeping it in-house and getting more people on Game Pass. But I also think, a bit like Stubbs alluded to, that This
Oh yeah, I
purchase-
love the fact that with Game Pass, games like Medium, which look incredible, are going to be launch day Game Pass. Here it is, you get to play.
No, exactly, but I think this acquisition was more around stopping Amazon and Google from acquiring them. To be honest,
Because
more
everyone,
so than
I tell you
Sony.
one thing, people, a lot of people were moaning that Microsoft got them, but I can tell you now, they'd be moaning more if Google, Amazon, because Amazon would have locked it to their platform completely.
Yeah.
But then it's okay for anyone else to do it, but if Xbox suggests it, the end of the world,
So what do people think of this? What is it? Is it the new streaming service they've kind of thrown out?
What, Luna?
Is it Luna? Yeah.
I'm not interested, but it's for other people maybe.
Do you
I'm gonna
think
try
that is? Do you think it's a Stadia 2.0, or do you believe it is a viable competition?
I think Stadia is viable competition. I think Phil Harrison at the helm isn't a good idea. I think they've screwed up their.
Wasn't he
pricing.
involved in the Xbox One launch?
Yeah, they shouldn't have launched it now. They should not have launched it.
They send Phil Harrison in if they want to kill something, right? Get Phil in, we need to kill it.
They've screwed up the pricing. They've really screwed that up, but that's easily fixed. I think Amazon will learn from Google's mistake. I think Microsoft are now ahead of the game when it comes to game streaming. They've got the subscriptions, but we mentioned on Boom's show yesterday, Amazon have the subscribers, because if they actually roll Luna into your Amazon Prime subscription, then you don't really choose. You've already got it. And to be honest, if you've already got it, you're likely to try it. And you say, Stubbs, that you wouldn't be bothered about Luna, and that's fair enough. But what about if it was already part of your Amazon Prime and they had all of the Bethesda studios, so you could only get Elder Scrolls 6 on Luna?
So it wouldn't be an issue.
I'd be very happy with that.
I order all my Amazon stuff through my dad, so I suppose I could use it off his.
My point is, lots of people would jump ship, and they would do that. And Amazon have that clout, that I think Microsoft are very cagey about. I think Microsoft are a bit worried about where this could potentially go, because the other thing that Amazon and Google have got are huge bank balances. And they can go and make these huge acquisitions if they absolutely wanted to. And like VJ said earlier, they've already got Shannon Studstill on board at Stadia. They've got Phil Harrison, probably not the best person in the world to own there, but
they've also got Jade Raymond as well.
Yeah, and I noticed, I don't know if you saw on Twitter today, but the new is it Phoenix Rising, the new Ubisoft game? Did you see that had all of the Stadia branding over it? There was a 10-second trailer. Yeah, I nearly retweeted it saying this is interesting. What's it called? Is it Phoenix Rising? I can't remember what it's called. The new Ubisoft game.
Something like that. Phoenix. It is something like, I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Duke Tongo 13. Nice to see you in the chat. I haven't seen you about before, but if you're enjoying the content, please drop a subscription if you wish. Also, we've hit 240 subscribers now.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So sorry, carry on, Flap.
Yeah, no, it's just basically that, Stadia have got their name over. Oh, here we go. Immortals Phoenix Rising. That's what it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting one to just see Stadia's name on something like that, and possibly the shape of things to come.
Could be an exclusive deal signed. You never know.
They can afford it if they really wanted
to. Yeah, they can.
All I can say regarding this, what we're talking about now, is I think everyone should be happy that Microsoft have bought them and they've got an option to play it on a PC via Game Pass or buy it or on Xbox at a cheap budget, and rather than having to go and buy Stadia.
I also think I think they will put games on Steam as well as
yeah, they will, yeah.
But yeah, you are right.
People have got more options now.
It's all about options, but apparently for some people, they don't like options.
Oh, can I tell you that story from work earlier?
Yes, you can. I forgot about that. Yeah, I did.
Right,
which one? Because we have to be. This is a child-friendly show.
No, it's not bad. It was just basically a double standards little story, really. I went into the transport office. There's 4 guys in there, and they're all casual Sony fans, apart from one who. But when I walked in the office today, they were talking about football, about someone spent, their team spent £11 million on a defender, or I don't know what it is. And I said, that's nothing. You ought to see what my team spent. My team spent $7.5 billion. And he just literally got really angry straight away and said, fuck off with that shit. It's fucking pissed me off. And he goes, I've got to go out and buy a fucking Xbox to play a fucking game because I'm a huge Fallout fan. I said, yeah, I know. And he just kept saying, it's fucking bullshit. He said, why should I have to buy a fucking Xbox to play a game? I said, we have the same. I said, what? It was the same for us. I've had to buy a PlayStation to play like Spider-Man, Last of Us, blah, blah, blah. I've had to pay out £400 for a PS4 Pro in the games and stuff, and they can just get the taste of their own medicine, really. He was really angry about it.
Oh, you should see some of the videos. If you haven't looked on some of the videos on YouTube for some of the ponies is wild. I mean, they're mad. And then they're also like, oh, I never liked Bethesda anyway. I don't play any of their games.
I would have countered though and said, so you would have been so you would have been fine if PlayStation would have acquired them then, yeah.
Yeah. I said to him about I've had to do the same because I don't give a fuck about anyone else. I've got to pay £500 for a console and a game.
Yeah. I wouldn't be, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But I wouldn't be like turning red and getting outrageously upset that, oh my God, you know.
And then did you say to him, well, haven't actually said that the games are just going to be on Xbox?
No, I told him that.
Did you say?
Piss him off. But it was all right. We get on fine as we always talk gaming and stuff. It's just that because he was talking football and money, and I said my team, and I said as soon as I said 7.5 billion, you could see the anger in his face.
He knew what you're on about.
Sushi, he doesn't have to buy an Xbox at all. He just has to
stream it.
£15 a month on Game Pass. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Cheaper than the game itself.
It'll be there.
Yep. Or even a £1 entry fee.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, that's it.
It is crazy that Game Pass itself is such a good. It's such a good quality service for the price.
I agree,
and it does.
I've seen a comment from Warwick. Now, I can't ever see Xbox doing this. He says, "What if one day they make Game Pass $50 a month? Then you're all stuck." I can't see it.
Well, it's the same thing with raising your price with games.
They will raise it slowly, but not to that degree.
But you think about it, it's the same thing with people raising the price of games. We've had it, as I think I've mentioned this numerous times, every time they rise the price of games, people then cut back on buying games. And it's the same thing. There is a tolerance from the consumer and the person selling that product. And they're trying to find a balance of where you will accept a price. So they will tweak it. I think this is 100%. They will tweak the Game Pass price, and it will all be determining on how much backlash they get. Now, they can either go the softly catchy monkey version, where they just slowly build it up over the next 5 years. Maybe a dollar or two extra every couple of months or something, or they'll go down the path of right. This is it. We're moving it up by $5.99 or $6.99, and then do it 2 years later for it. They will watch the markets carefully, and then they will watch the responses from the consumer. And if they see a drop in their subscribers, they'll probably drop it back down again.
Well, and what's the last time we saw a major game increase, price increase for games? It's been like 10 years or something, hasn't it?
Well, it has happened 3 times since I've been gaming. And every time there has been, and the difference being is every time, on at least because this was all normally happening during around for physicals, every time it actually happened, the people buying games stopped. But then again, that was actually like a physical disc. We're now talking about digital,
but the market
and Game Pass.
The market adjusts. It's just
to be honest, cool.
I'm not convinced they will actually put the price up. If I'm honest, the way they will recoup their money is by getting more people into the ecosystem.
Yeah, most definitely.
At least 2 years.
People think Netflix. Like people said, "Oh, you can't compare it," but I'm saying, "I'm sorry, stop there." Netflix started out as a DVD rental business, and it took Netflix. It took Netflix to get. It took them. I could be wrong. A long, long time to get where they are even now. You know, they weren't a juggernaut overnight, were they?
Nope.
You know,
No.
it's the long game you have to play in this, not the short game. You know.
Well, I think someone said to me, I was trying to work out whether this is true or not, but for the 7.5 billion deal, that could be covered by, it is almost something like about 800, 900,000 new subscribers.
Yeah.
You know, if they're paying at full price, not just $1. If they paid full price at 900 or 800, 900,000 new subscribers would, you know, that would counter the 7.5 billion deal.
Which is paid with cash anyway.
Just a brown paper bag.
Thanks for stopping by, mate. Hope you're doing well. But no, it's been a very good conversation tonight. As we've all got.
Have we hit all our topics?
Well, I cut some out in the end, to be honest. You know how this show flows? It's not like all the other shows. It's all strict. We kind of go in different directions, but it's all gaming related. It is, you know.
Sometimes.
Yeah. We talk about cups of tea and whatever.
Hey, gaming feeds into your life regardless. That's
I've
the
got to
difference.
start playing some more bloody games again. I haven't played much recently. I've installed that Warzone again.
If you're a parent with toddlers, there is no such thing as gaming.
Yeah, that's why I don't play as much multiplayer because of the kids. You know, but I've got to start gaming again. But, so you know, when you know, I'm not a youth anymore. You know, I'm not that old, but you fall asleep at night, don't you? You got the controller in your hand, and I do this regular. I mean, Mr. Tucci knows I disappeared on Saturday night, and everyone was. I woke up. Look at that, I put it on mute because you would have heard me. And I woke up. I was like, "Shit!" I messaged him on WhatsApp saying, "Sorry, I fell asleep. I'm going to bed." It worked because the game was boring. What were we playing?
Golf with friends.
Yeah, it's got quite a few bugs in. I think you were playing Flap too, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, it's the first time I played it. Actually, I had a good time.
Was it a good experience?
I didn't enjoy the bugs. That was frustrating, but it's good playing with you guys. It's good to have pucks there as well on cloud gaming. So
I thought that was incredible. Yeah. You want to tell people what happened in case that they didn't know how pucks joined in?
Well, we'd all joined up for Mr. Tucci's community night on Saturday, and we were all going along, and Pucks sort of joined the party, and well, that's cool. We're playing golf with friends. It's on Game Pass. Why don't you join? And he hasn't got an Xbox, but he does game via his PC via the Xbox. So he's downloaded it quickly, fired it up, but it's not cross-platform, which was mostly frustrating. And it's like, oh, what are we going to do then? And someone come up with the idea of like, well, why don't you try it on xCloud on your phone? So he did, and it worked. He joined the party, and we had a great time.
Yeah,
and xCloud saved the day.
It worked really well, to be honest. Yeah. It worked better for him than someone.
I was going to say he came second. Yeah, he came second out of 6, I believe. So
I found it hard because a lot of the time I just kept pressing forfeit. I couldn't do it. Some of them levels they were difficult.
I was sorry I missed that because I planned on joining you that night, but I kind of forgot.
But yeah, it's been a really good, another good show, Midweek Gaming with Stubbs and crew. Where can everyone find you, Flap?
Oh, well, yeah, I've got my own channel, Green Pass Gaming, that we do a podcast every Sunday. VJ is one of our regulars on the panel. I have a co-host, Puxley. We got Mr. Boomstick XL himself coming on this Sunday. Ooh. So that's going to be a bit weird for VJ. Going to be a co-panel member with his other boss, as he called it. Yeah, and we kind of do midweek shows and catch up and stuff. We're on Twitter, so at Green Pass Gaming or at Flap number 2. Yeah, DM me, whatever, and yeah, I'll see you there.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for agreeing to come on, Flap. As I say, all Flap's links are in the description as well. Thanks for coming on, CerebralPaul. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at CerebralPaul1, like it says in the thing there, and on Twitch at just CerebralPaul. No one, just me. Those are the two main places. And I do stream semi-regularly. It hasn't been so much lately because I've been kind of busy, but I plan on getting back into it. And like I was telling them, is it okay if I tell them what I'm doing Friday?
You can tell. You can say what you like.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure it was okay. Friday, I will have Star Wars Squadrons on my PC. I will be streaming it like all day long. And by the end of the day, I'll probably be doing multiplayer stuff. So if anybody's going to have it installed and wants to play, let me know.
I've got it pre-ordered.
Yeah, me too. But so I'll be up late Thursday installing it, and Friday I'll be up early playing it. So there you go.
That's good. That's good to hear. So I'm gonna have to stop by on your streams. I will be stopping by on Friday because you said it will be at a time where us in England can catch you.
Yeah, because I'm like 8 hours or 6 hours behind you. I think I'm 6 hours behind you.
Okay.
I watched one of Paul's streams. I was watching the flight simulator.
Oh,
and it just made me feel jealous. I was like, no, I've got to wait till I get the Series X for that.
You must have a good PC then, if you can run Flight Simulator.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's kind of slow with my PC, but it's good enough to play. So
that's good to hear. I mean, I do think that's coming to the Series X. It's been hinted, but the problem is it might just be that's all you can fit on your Series X.
Well, and my thing is the reason I want it for my PC is I want my flight stick. Same reason I got the Star Wars game on my PC. Got to use a flight stick for a flying game like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it usable on the Xbox though?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Hopefully,
because you can buy flight sticks on the store on the Xbox.
There's one. It's a Logitech. I have it. It's the one I'm using. I forget what model it is, but it works on the Xbox.
Oh, that's good to hear. Well then, VJ, where can we find you?
Oh, just seeing that the Xbox Series S is available, right, in the UK on Amazon.
Not interested. Tell me when the X is available.
Yeah, me too. It's been terrible over here in the States. It's been a complete nightmare, both for the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. But thanks for having me on the show again, Stubbs. I really appreciate it. And I always chat with Mr. Tushi regularly. And
Sam Fox.
And Sam Fox, when he allows it. And I'm starting to get used to the removable sanity and Flaps my boss, and then I'm going to be sitting next to my other boss on Sunday's show, so that'll be interesting. And it was very nice to meet you, Cerebral Paul. And
nice to meet you.
And I like your picture of Paddington Bear. It is Paddington Bear, right? I haven't got that wrong.
Actually, it's a beaver, I believe.
The beaver in a beret.
It's hairy too.
It kind of does look like Paddington, yes.
Easy, Mr. Tushi, PG-13. But thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, good. Mr. Tushi, where can we find apart from hearing you vape?
Sorry.
You're on the M1 in 5 hours, isn't he?
You can find me on Twitter, Xbox, PS4 as Mr. Tushy. Find me on Twitch as Mr. Tushy _84. And you can find me on the community game night every Saturday night UK time, 9 p.m. and followed by Noof Nukem at 1 a.m. That's it, really.
Thanks for coming on.
And you can find me in bed in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. and the removable sanity. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Xbox, Minds, and Twitter under Removal Sanity.
That's good to hear. I have actually put some of your links in the description. YouTube.
Yay! Yes. Also, yes, I'm on YouTube as well. Jesus Christ, I forget it.
I bought Swordbreaker about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, right. It'll be interesting to tell your thoughts on it, because I can be a little bit biased. I try not to be biased when I review a game, but it's, it'll be interesting because you've never played Choose Your Own Path games. So it'll be interesting to hear your take.
That's good to hear.
I've played Choose Your Own Path games, but not the book ones like this. It's completely different, so I'll give it a try anyway.
Right. Thanks for everyone. Right, I'm gonna plug this channel. So if you like the content you're seeing, please press the subscribe button and press the notification bell. The Stubbscast returns this Sunday, 10 p.m. Let's get it right. 10 p.m. BST, 5 p.m. EST, and 2 p.m. PST. and I have FC Violent on this Sunday for the Stubbs cast.
Ooh.
Next week's midweek gaming will be myself, Removal Sanity, Mr. Two Sheep.
Oh, thanks.
VJ, if he can make it. And the guests will be God's Geeks YouTuber and Matt Barnes next Wednesday.
All right.
So it should be fun. But thanks for stopping by, everyone. I really, truly appreciate you all stopping by and taking the time. Thanks, UK Dazarus, Warwick. Who else? She's no elite. Matt Barnes, Dragon Wolf, Fugly, Sea Black Rider. There's been so many new people. Well, Duke Toggle. There's been loads of people stopping by and giving their view. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. And thank you all. Okay. I'll see you all soon. Thanks.
Have a good one.